Well, good day. So, I've been noticing I don't talk about the Hulk a whole lot, so for this video, I'm gonna be talking about the leader. So yes, indubitably, let us proceed. Oh yeah! So, we start off on a double date where Bruce Banner and Betty Ross are chaperoning Rick Jones and lovely Rita Meter Maid. And they're checking out the mini bike races at a carnival. Some good wholesome fun on a beautiful day. Until the Mad Max rejects of a bike gang known as the Screaming Vultures start terrorizing the happy carnival. They show up, start breaking things, and basically tell everybody, hey, our new boss gave us a whole bunch of upgrades, so you're gonna see a whole lot more of us and stuff. And before they take off, they push around Rick Jones and kidnap Rita. So of course, Rita's friends, have to give chase, right? There's no such thing as security at a happy carnival, like come on. Bruce Banner is able to separate from the group from casually driving his Jeep off of a cliff. And during the fall, he goes into Hulk mode, rah! Which, in a way is kind of funny, right? Bruce Banner falls off of a cliff, the Hulk jumps up on top of the cliff, Bruce is nowhere to be found, and Betty can't figure out if there's a connection between the two. Nonetheless, after the Hulk heroically gets himself trapped under a rock slide of his own making, the Screaming Vultures get away! And they wind up in their really awesome fancy looking underground base where they meet up with their leader, the leader. So not only is Rita being kidnapped, a surprise to the leader, but a de-hulked Bruce Banner has been following the bike tracks to this Mesa hideout where boom! He falls through a trap and is kidnapped as well. Which kinda sucks, but that's, oh my god. Betty and Rick Jones somehow got kidnapped as well? What? Like, how? Jeez, are there amigos falling from the sky? What's next? The vultures are gonna say, hey boss, this guy was taking photos outside of the Mesa. Says his name is Peter Parker. Actually, that would be pretty awesome, but sadly, no. But the leader falls prey to that basic trap of going out of his way to explain his plans to everybody when not one single person even asked him. His plan is to hijack a shipment of that highly explosive material that Bruce Banner was working on called vibranium. Wait a second, vibranium? I don't think that's accurate, but whatever, let's see where this is going. So, Rick and Rita fake join the Screaming Vultures, which should be an obvious sham to the leader, but is ignored, and the leader puts Bruce and Betty in a brain nullifier machine. Seeing as they were being uncooperative, this machine will sap all that strong will that they have, and then they will do whatever the leader asks. But, once it's activated, the leader leaves the base because he's never watched a James Bond movie before. So now an enraged Bruce Banner hulks out because 1, he needs to save Betty, and 2, he needs to go after puny man who make Hulkhead hurt with machine. It might take a while because the leader and the vulture split because they are on their way to steal the vibranium. It's touted as a highly explosive material that is being so horribly unsecured and dangerously transported in a bouncy army truck. Like how that stuff doesn't just blow up in there, man, I don't know. But when the leader is about to grab the stuff, the Hulk jumps in. So he beats the crap out of the Screaming Vultures, he destroys their bikes, but he gets defeated by the leader because he got hit with a whole bunch of knockout gas. So the leader ganks the vibranium and splits. Meanwhile, a sleeping Bruce Banner wakes up and drives toward the leader's base, to try to warn the army of the vibranium theft or something. But the leader notices Banner driving, so he tells Claw to give chase. Huh, that's funny. The last time the leader seen Bruce Banner was when Bruce was tied up in that brainwashing machine inside of the base, and now he's on the road outside of the base trying to break into where he was tied up. Huh, That in itself should raise a question or two for the leader, you know, but I guess it doesn't. So after beating up Claw, Hulk breaks into the Mesa base, and now we finally have the fight we've been waiting for. Hulk versus Leda! Brains versus Brawn! Fight! And this fight is, well, probably not the most biff bam boom kind of fight ever, but it's still pretty decent. In fact, it gets quite explosive. The Hulk picks up a drum of vibranium and throws it at the leader, which, you know, completely blows up his computer system. That much vibranium probably should have done a lot more explosive damage to the place, right? But, you know, I guess we'll take what we can get. With the computer system licked to hell, leader knows he's totally screwed, man, so he takes off. Runs away! But unfortunately for him, General Ross and the US Army were outside of the base just waiting for him, where boom! They nab him toot sweet! So everything works out good! Hooray! The Hulk gets Betty Ross out of the base, Leader and the Vultures are all captured by the army, and Hulk finishes the base off by smashing it and blowing it up real good! Yeah! So with that, that is the end of this incredible tale. So yes indeed, as per usual, a pretty awesome Hulk cartoon. The leader, hey, Mr. Big Brain, Mr. Fivehead, you know, he actually was a pretty good portrayal of that guy in this episode. I kind of figured you'd probably see more of the leader in this Hulk TV series, but I guess not, you know, so whatever we get with him, I'll take it. And his teammates in that bike gang, the Screaming Vultures, eh? And it's kind of funny with those guys, right? Like, So at the beginning of the episode, they made a big stink about how they have all these fancy new upgrades, you know, from their big boss. But like, what upgrades, really, you know? The only upgrade that there really was that the guy named Claw had a mechanical retractable claw on his hand. Like, that's it! But he was the only one, you know? I was kind of thinking, like, upgrades, that meant that everybody in the gang had some kind of body modification upgrade like that. Or at least some kind of a weapon, you know, on their person. You know, even if it's like a whip or a club, you know, something, right? But it's cool to see that all those upgrades were on the motorcycles themselves, right? Motorcycles with frickin' laser beams, tractor beams, any other kind of beam you can find. Like, that was actually pretty cool. But once their bikes were completely smashed by the Hulk, like, what powers did they have, right? Like, they had nothing! Except for one guy with a retractable claw. But speaking of vibranium in this episode, like, do they know what vibranium is? It does have a whole bunch of properties, but exploding doesn't, you know, really kind of seem to be one of them. Did they just pick a random name out of a Marvel hat out of all the, you know, different elements that they've created, you know? I know this stuff doesn't have the properties of vibranium, but the name vibranium sounds cool, so let's run with it. Man, just pick a new name for it if it's a completely different thing, man. Like, at least in that show Rocky and Bullwinkle, when they created that gravity-defying material, they gave it a new name, you know? Upsidasium. Ridiculous name, but you know, but still, original for what it does. You could have called this stuff Explodium or something, you know? But it's all good. But there is more things to discuss about, you know, the leader, about vibranium, about, I don't know, some other kind of stuff, and we shall get to that over here. So yes, indeed, the leader. So this is not the leader's first cartoon appearance. No! He first made it to cartoon form in the Marvel Superhero Show during the Incredible Hulk segments, which is a pretty awesome cartoon and all that, you know, but this featured cartoon taking place in the 1980s, man, you know, I couldn't resist. This cartoon would actually be his second cartoon appearance of all time, so it's still pretty good. So if you didn't know a whole bunch about the leader, I will fill in a couple of things here for you. The leader first appeared in Tales to Astonish number 62 in 1964. And for his origin story, they did kind of go through it in this featured episode, but like really quick, you know? Just the quick finer points, which is, yeah, pretty much all you need to know. So the dude's real name is Samuel Stearns. And originally he was very much not leader-like. He was kind of a slow-witted kind of a guy. He worked as a janitor in a research facility where he was exposed to gamma radiation. And instead of making him giant and big and savage, you know, like the Incredible Hulk, this gamma just went straight to his head, man. Boom! Large cranium, super intelligence, telekinesis, and telepathy, man. Like, holy crap! Go from 0 to hero pretty quick. But with a head that size, like, I can't imagine how expensive his toques would be, eh? So, in this featured cartoon where the leader is teaming up with a bike gang, you know, that in itself is kinda neat, you know, especially with all those upgrades that those bikes got. Super fancy bikes that can do whatever? Man, that's an 80s cartoon's dream. But in the comics, like, the leader doesn't team up with humans a whole lot. He created a whole bunch of helpers which he calls humanoids, which are androids in the shape of a human. So those things do a lot of his dirty work, you know, he doesn't have to hire people, you know. Humans being unreliable and unpredictable, why would he want to deal with them, man? Just program some frickin' robots and you got your stuff done, right? But with that, man, like in the comics, the Hulk did go up against a biker gang. Okay, well, yeah, not really a gang, you know, but still like a bunch of bikers. So, in Ghost Rider number 11 in 1975, while Ghost Rider is riding around the desert with some of his other kind of bike buddies, the Hulk was pissed off with all the noise from the bikes, and he basically told them to shut up in his Hulk way. In order to subdue the Hulk, Ghost Rider wrapped his fire chains around Hulk's head, and with the heat basically removed all the breathable air around from the area of his head, so you know the Hulk had no choice but to pass out, right? That scene was kind of copied again, you know, in this featured episode, where that's kind of similar to how the leader knocked out the Hulk, although it wasn't with a demon fire chain, it was just with like a lasso made out of knockout gas, you know? So one silly zany thing in this episode is the fact that they introduced vibranium as an explosive material. So, as you know, when we read comic books and we see vibranium, exploding ain't the first thing that comes to our minds. Sure, you know, you have different types of vibranium. There's the most commonly known version, the Wakandan vibranium, which most notably absorbs sounds and kinetic energy. You have the Antarctic vibranium, also known as anti-metal, and that one can be made to produce sounds and vibrations that will actually destroy metals around it. And there is also the synthetic vibranium, known as reverbium. Because it doesn't absorb sounds and energy, kind of like the Wakandan version does, it actually just kind of bounces it off, right? So all three different types of vibranium are actually pretty cool in their own way, but they do not damn explode! Not on its own anyway, you know? Although in the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, Volume 2, number 14, it does state that if Wakandan vibranium does absorb an incredible amount of sound or kinetic energy, and it's basically stored to capacity with this energy, and if you like hit it hard enough, it will release all of this kinetic energy. So in that regard, yeah, sure, vibranium could explode, but like, my god, that would have to be a hell of a lot of energy put into it, and a hell of a lot of energy to pound it out of it. So for vibranium showing up in this episode, I think it's just a coincidence that it's called vibranium. But other than that, you know, that's pretty much the long and skinny on the episode, and some things I kind of found, you know, here and there. Your basics on the leader as well. So still, you know, it was good to see him in another role, and him being the arch nemesis of the Hulk, you know, we will definitely see him more and more, so that's fantastic. But, you know, as they say, with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics, and currently I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density, and recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastoma.
with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel and some links at the end of the video. Yeah! Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.